So this works. Okay, everybody, welcome to Just Flow, bro. I'm gonna have to shift between. Welcome to Just Flow, bro. Here on Namas Weird. Today we are joined by both by both Don Michael, aka Happy Fingers Jumps, and Flows, and of course Coach Armando, which you cannot see on IG, but you can see on Facebook.
Yes.
So yes, so welcome everybody to the show. So if you guys don't know who Happy Fingers Jumps is, go on,
No.
go on
You
his
know
Instagram. You have
him.
probably been under a rock or like you've been stuck in the matrix for too long. So now you're finally here and you're out of the matrix, but technically you're still back in because it's social media. Anyway, because I just watched the Social Dilemma, so I'm kind of like, whoa, we're back in the matrix. So welcome to the re-envisioned matrix where we start talking about the things that matter, which is basically movement,
Hmm.
movement, movement. All right.
Yes.
So here we go. Here we go. Don, thank you so much for being here. We
Yes,
are,
Don. Thank you.
dude, we're so ecstatic that you are here. Like,
Thank you. Thank
yeah,
you.
like,
I'm very happy to be here.
dude, like,
Uh,
okay, so we're as ecstatic. We're probably I'm probably more ecstatic right now, you being in the show, than when I saw you flowing with the rope. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That was mind blowing. Your day one was
uh-oh.
for
Thank
me, yeah.
you.
And I will be completely transparent with everybody.
Don't. Don't. Just kidding. It's too deep. It's too deep. I
No,
don't understand. Don, this is a very deep conversation for Mr. Ray. And then
Okay.
for me also.
it is. It is. It is.
We'll put it in context. But go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay,
There's a
so
lot of ego. There's a
there's
huge
so
ego
much ego.
component.
Like I'm not even kidding. Like there's
Grabe. Grabe.
grabe talaga. As in,
Oh,
okay,
you,
so
you can go start. You can go start.
okay, so when I saw your video, I was like, whoa, and then at the back of it, I was like, whoa, shit. That's it. Wala
Okay.
na. Wala na. So I had to call Arman, right? I had to call Arman. I was
Yes.
like, bro, are you available for a call?
Uh,
For like to talk. And then he was like, oh, sige. So he came over like my place, and then we just started talking. He was like, and then we talked about some other stuff, like some issue, and he was like, is this what you wanted to talk about? And I'm like, no, 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 dude, this is different, man.
uh, uh.
I want to talk to you about Dawn. And he was like, oh, bakit? Bakit? Ano nangyari? And I'm like, dude, I'm kind of like in a kind of existential crisis, because I'm like, I thought,
Don, listen to this, Don. This is very
Okay.
important.
dude,
Um,
Uh,
okay, because my ego was so, I thought that I had my ego in check, right? And because it's a very important practice for me to always keep my ego in check and make sure that I'm not too over my head, especially with rope flow, because it's like this is actually the first time in my life where I'm actually like, wow, there are people who are following me, there are people who are actually watching me, and I'm not used to it, and so it felt great knowing that people are noticing, the whole trap of social media, when people give you likes, when people comment, share, etc. So there was that subtle hit on me, and I didn't feel it until you came, and I was like, wow, this is it, I'm done, so that part of me, that thought that it was like, no, de, humble ka, ganyan, ganyan, was actually starting to rear its ugly head and be like, yo, look at where you are now. So your being in, or your first day was basically a huge ego check for me, and I thank you for that, and I appreciate you for that, because it just really opened my eyes to the possibilities of, well, bro, yeah, you are,
yeah.
you remember that you came in here to enjoy, you came into rope flow to enjoy the practice, to better yourself, and to help other people move. So it was such a great reminder for me when I saw your first day, and then of course over time, when I eventually got over my own insecurity, because I was getting insecure, so I had to get over my own insecurity and just go back to that. Yeah, that the point of it is just to have fun, is to flow, it's to move and to share your movement, and that's exactly what you did. So it was also a great reminder for me at that point. So Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for
Well,
that.
essentially you almost put Don, you almost placed Mr. Ray into a brink of retirement just on your first day. Ang galing mo kasi. Ano ba?
Dude,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Nakakainis. Day one. I mean, let's put it in context. My day one is rolling with an inappropriate rope. Okay, not knowing how to hold it and literally just figuring it out, trying to transcribe whatever I see on YouTube, on Instagram. To me, kasi walang nagtuturo sa akin nun eh. And nakaka-inspire, um, your day one, your day two, so inspiring. But more so, on a deeper note, it almost pushed me to research on you, in a way, on how did you develop. I mean, from your I'm looking at your IG page, first post, which is basically in Makati, March 13, 2018. Okay, your logo is your first post.
yeah.
Mm.
Amazing. And then I saw a huge change in your post wall. I think you kind of figured out how your tutorials would like to look like, and that's in May 1, 2020.
Mm.
Okay. So when I was talking to Ray and we were like really studying you, we're like, look, he put in the time. He put in the time, he put in the hours, the skills, and props to you. And it's that's an inspiration in itself. And we're just so honored and just flabbergasted na nandito ka
Yep.
with raw flow.
Thank you.
And yeah, so with all humility, thank you. Thank you for kicking our butts,
Yeah.
kicking those
Yeah. No,
ass.
and
Okay.
we know that already your intention to, of course, do that. But of
Oh, but let's
it,
keep it real. I mean, especially with guys. I mean, yeah, pagalingan, ganyan, ganyan. And
yeah.
I pretty much gave up kasi what Ray felt when he saw you is what I felt when I saw Ray.
Lose, lose.
Hindi, seryoso. Ang galing mo kasi noon, yung day negative mo, may puhunan ka na from, if you don't know, Don, if you don't know Ray, Ray came from a flow arts community. So his hand intelligence was off the charts. He was doing things that I had to learn 6 months in, and yeah. So, now it's in full circle. Buti nga sa'yo, Ray.
Karma, man. Law of karma. Karma.
Yes.
So
So
we
yeah,
were.
with that, I think I want to lead with this question. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
sure.
So, did you ever feel that way with your jump rope community, or
Yeah.
yeah? And
I
can you
feel
tell
it
us more
every
about
day.
it?
Yeah, sure. But yeah, first of all, I greatly appreciate the kind words. Although it might seem like na-shook kayo dun sa nakita niyo on my first
Uh-huh.
rope flow post. Not sure how best to respond to that other than um
Honest. Go.
uh because
By the way, so as you're thinking, guys, on Instagram and on Facebook, please just comment your questions for Don or for Arman or for me.
yeah.
All right. And yeah, just
Well,
feel free.
okay. I guess a few elements need to be considered to have a better context as to how I got to uh, where I am with the day one. Right. First of all, it's the breadth of material that you can look to get inspiration from, particularly for rope flow, is so abundant now. So para sa akin, madali nang mag-absorb kumpara in 2018, for example, which was when I discovered my method. When I started my jump rope journey, end of 2017, it was only, excuse me, sandali lang. Sorry,
Bless you.
No,
sorry, excuse me.
bless you.
I also did my research on uh, what styles are out there, and when I saw someone named Joe Fimbres. You might know him with using the handle Rope Flow Academy. Back then, it wasn't called Rope Flow yet. It was just rope rolling or wet method or whatever
Ask
David
Joe
Weck.
Flo.
Yeah, ask Joe Flow, right? So he did
Mhm.
this move where it's all lateral movement. And for a rope jumper, that's mind blowing because how do you move the rope sideways without it crossing underneath you? And then he didn't have a term for it yet. And then I checked YouTube just to see if there's any existing material. And then there was David Weck's video of the dragon roll. So yun pala yung dragon roll. But I just stopped there because my journey was so different then. I just wanted to get in jump rope, my crisscrosses, my basic footwork in place. So rope flow, as I know it now, was virtually non-existent. I picked up the interest when I embarked on a more particular jump rope journey, and that involves what we call rope manipulations. Okay, so in jump rope there are different styles, right? So you have your people who are very good at footwork, people who are concentrating on doing as many multiple unders as they can. Some do tawag dito, releases where they throw the handle and do a bunch of things with it, while some do wraps. And then there are others who combine releases and wraps into this sub-discipline called rope manipulation. So by virtue of me, number one, being not as physically gifted, and number two, I just had that natural interest and I just found it cool, learning wraps and manipulations in the context of jump rope. So I looked through different videos and I gathered inspiration, figured out my own style that worked for me. Because as you go deeper, and I'm sure you would know this as well, as you go deeper into your own journey, the concept of movement is very particular to your own psychology and your own physical response. You cannot 100% copy someone else. If you have to make it your own, and even if you don't want to, it will always uh, be your own because of how you move as a person, right? So yeah, as I eventually researched how to manipulate a rope, I found a way to move with it, understand its momentum. So when I saw, and this was already I think mid 2020 when I started getting a little bit better with jump rope, and Happy Fingers jump started picking up now. Um, I saw Andros posts. I saw all of your efforts in rope flow, and I saw some similarities. But imagining it and imagining it in my head was still different from actually having the right rope to execute those ideas with. So up until when I tried the Liwanag rope, everything was just imaginary. Oh, maybe yeah. Because if you would look at my feed, I don't really do dragon rolls. I don't do the typical rope flow moves because it's not part of what I do on a daily basis, and the mechanics are different. There are there's some nuances to it. So when I tried the Liwanag rope, it just made perfect sense. Na the weight felt right. So I would imagine when I was figuring it out, and you would all know that this is true because I only received the Liwanag rope maybe 2 days before that toast. So,
Yeah.
diba? So there is no such thing as rope flow here in Malaysia, except for maybe one or two who bought their rope separately.
Mhm.
Um, so you know, I would when I picked it up, I sized it in a way that works for me. I imagined how Andro would move, how you and Ray would move. Oh, this is a side swing, this is a reverse side swing, but it was all in the context of jump rope. Okay, this is a wrap, this is a backward wrap. Okay, so I'm gonna try doing my own thing, and then I put a few elements together, and that was my very first flow. It
Mm.
was a lot more fluid for me. I didn't
It
feel
was.
that it was. I didn't feel it was. I didn't feel as much difficulty as I anticipated. I mean, I owe it definitely to the rope itself. You you at Rope Flow Philippines created something really beautiful with the Luana group. I just feel that it's the rope that best channels my my I guess my manipulative energy when it comes to working the rope, right?
Nice.
So yun, I guess that's how that first day came together. It just fell into place. Although I, although there are ideas in my head that I felt okay, if once that rope comes in, I'll try doing this, this, and this. All of that eventually got sideswiped by what felt right in the moment. So
Mm.
except for the intro sequence that I did, where I stepped on the rope and did a rap, everything else was just okay. I'm just gonna wing this and see what happens next.
Bahala
So
na.
yeah. So yun, I completely relate to what Ray said, where when you see someone, you feel like your ego is crushed. Every possible part of your body that can be crushed, even the sensitive parts, can be crushed because someone is better than you. But how I've how I've kept that in check is understanding why I'm using or why I'm doing what I'm doing, why I'm in social media to begin with. It's very easy to fall into the spiral of despair, of of feeling that you are inadequate, especially with how social media is constructed. But if you are very clear in your mind with what you're using it for, you're using it for inspiration, you're using it to inspire and be inspired, then the tendency of your ego being um, nudged or affected because
Mm.
someone is better tends to be lesser and lesser until wanana. In my case, there will always be someone out there who, if I see him learning at such a short amount of time, something that I took weeks or even months to learn,
Yeah.
I will be lying if I said I don't envy that person one bit. That's just human nature. That's just how we are wired. We are built. But
Exactly.
the more you practice mindfulness and understanding that we are all in this journey of of self actualization, of bettering ourselves than yesterday, and also knowing that there are things that we can do that maybe that person is not fully accustomed to. It's not his thing. There will always be that thing that is uniquely ours,
Mm.
and that for me keeps me in check. It helps me temper whatever little ego that I have and refocus my efforts into okay, this is what I know, this is what I don't know, and knowing that there's so much out there that I don't know helps me keep my feet grounded and just keep putting out the little bits of knowledge and inspiration, however way the people that follow me choose to consume that and choose to use that as their own springboard is entirely up to them. But to me, as how I've directed Happy Fingers jumps, I've seen it as a platform where people could gather inspiration, could be prompted to move,
Mm.
which is the fundamental DNA of our disciplines, whether it's jump rope or rope flow. Yeah,
Right.
there.
Whew.
Beautifully said.
Well,
All right. Well, thank you for coming to this show. I'm already I'm satisfied. I have nothing else to
but
talk about. No, no,
for me,
kidding aside.
I have a question, which is basically like, what inspired the name Happy Fingers Jumps?
Oh
Yeah. Okay.
man,
So,
kind of
yeah.
sounds kinky to me.
Yeah.
Something, like, yeah, something from Heather. I totally
Yeah.
agree with on why you are on social media to be inspired to be inspiration to others. That is very important. Thank you, Heather.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So Happy Fingers start. There's a press release answer to that, and it's because I would like to make happy things happen with my fingers. But
Ooh,
yeah,
ooh.
We want the unabridged version.
because the pursuits that I've followed throughout my adult life involve using my fingers. So whether it's performing as a guitar player slash
Oh, you
singer,
play guitar.
or doing portraits as a photographer, or now the whole thing revolved around me making my fingers happy. But the real story is that back in 2007, there was this rhythm game on the keyboard called O2 Jam, and I needed an alias. So that's how Happy Fingers came along. Happy Fingers, that sort of thing.
Wait,
Uh,
so,
you're gonna have to excuse me. I just need to open the door. Dali, dali. One moment.
what did we get ourselves into, Armando? Oh my
I
god!
know.
Oh my
Sorry.
god!
Okay, so yeah, that's how Happy Fingers came along, and then Happy Fingers jumps is just an offshoot of it's just the verb. So I have other accounts: Happy Fingers Travels, Happy Fingers Diary, but Happy Fingers jumps was supposedly my jump rope journal or my fitness journal. I started that in early 2018 to just chronicle my progress in jump rope. That's why Happy Fingers jumps. Yeah, and it 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 was a very modest personal account for the better part of 2 years. Um, I'd say if I were to graph my movement journey, it started from the bottom, and then there was a bit of a spike when I learned my first double under, and then it was just stagnant for the next 2 years until the pandemic hit, and then that kind of opened a lot of opportunities and motivation for me to do to improve my craft and share what I learned. So as you rightly pointed out, there was a big shift. There was a big regime change in how I put out content and how I branded the entity of Happy Fingers Jumps beyond more than just putting out content on Instagram. I wanted to keep certain graphical consistencies that would make my content distinct, because there's so much out there. But
Yes.
what makes it different is how you make each content your own. Yeah.
Definitely. Oh my god, this sounds like it's going to be a crash course on social media brand activation. No, I mean, also running within that question, like, did you? Oh, somebody's asking, are you going to create Happy Fingers flow? Actually,
it,
asking
it,
that.
it crossed my mind. It crossed my mind. But let's see how it goes. Let me go with the flow. Pun intended. Um, uh, but for now, let me start with the hashtag first. Happy Fingers Flows to help curate the flow content.
I have,
And yeah.
I have a feeling you're gonna make it into like Happy Fingers ropes, just because it's like now it's both rope, it's flow and jumps. You know,
Maybe. Yeah, that's not a that's
that's not a
that's,
bad
that's
idea.
yeah,
Oh.
that's an interesting possibility. Kasi, oh, wait.
Ah!
Well, wait. Although I gotta say, raw flow and its core content or context is really not using the rope that much. You use your body to use the rope, and then
Correct.
whatever implement you're using, whether it's a blanket, a USB cord, that's where you're supposed to flow.
Right.
So it could be just happy fingers, whatever.
Yeah. Happy Fingers, whatever.
Fingers moves.
Happy fingers
Yeah.
moves.
Yeah.
Yes. Happy fingers moves you.
You know what? This came out like today, as we were going home from UP. As our Arman and I were going home from UP, it just totally blew my mind that today we were able to have a community gathering again for the new year, and we were able to connect with the jump rope community. Like we were about to end our like community session, and they were just about to begin. So there was this point in time where we like had this intense merger, and somebody from the jump rope community was like flowing with the ropes, and then
Mm.
somebody from the rope flow community was like skipping bigla-biglaan, and then
Mm.
so there was this nice thing, and then it just hit me na parang, wow, sobrang sakto, no? Pumasok si Don, and then suddenly we
It's
just
like the
had this
stars
whole,
aligned.
yeah, there's this whole organic gathering that just popped out, and suddenly, no, next Sunday ulit, tara, kita tayo, 9 o'clock. So
Yeah.
that was really wonderful. And speaking of community, like you guys have your own community, like your own jump rope community in Malaysia, right?
Yes, we do. We do.
How many are you guys? Like, like an estimate.
Um, in terms of the channel, kasi that's how we aggregate the quote unquote members. We're about 400, 500 all over the country. But in the clan that in the I'd say the metropolis, at any given point there would be about 20 to 30 who show up for the meets. They're quite
Wow.
organized in that they're some of them are affiliated with they're able to bring the jump rope conversation to the mainstream media. Some of them are connected with malls. That's why they're able to. It's similar to what some jump rope entities are doing in Manila. They're able to integrate these fitness sessions in malls. Here in Malaysia, it's a lot more. I'd say not. I wouldn't say lenient, but we don't have to at least we don't have to wear like face shields on top of our face masks. So
Really?
yeah, we're still able to go outside. We just need to follow certain SOPs. So we can still work out in the open, preferably, of course, while wearing a mask. So social gatherings are allowed, but you just need to practice social distancing. And with that, we're still able to have that social aspect of face-to-face meetups. Although recently we haven't been doing that because there's just been a shift toward virtual connections. Even
Mm.
though you can actually go outside, it just seemed a lot more convenient and a lot safer for people. So yeah, jump rope has been around in Malaysia for a while. Rope flow, I'd say I only know of one other person who does it. So
Oh,
it's still in its very very
Oh
very
my
very
god.
very early stages. It's a yeah it's a like in marketing it's like negative space. It's white space.
white space.
Yes.
Yeah, it's white space.
Oh my
So
god. I
there
can.
is there's that notion that rope flow is essentially just jump rope, but you don't jump, which is not correct. It's not correct. It's an assumption that needs to be corrected, and in most cases, you will only find it out for yourself once you actually start rolling the rope. So it's a personal experience
Right.
that inspires behavioral change or opinion change, right? So that's the prevailing notion about rope flow, at least from the serious jump rope practitioners I've spoken to here in Malaysia. But there is opportunity. I'm looking out for the time when we can actually spread the good news about rope flow as well with the people here.
Mm.
Mm-mm.
Ooh, it's
No, that's amazing. I like how you're basically just giving birth to this community in Malaysia, and if you need any help, tips and tricks on how to grow it, with Roflo Philippines personally, we piggybacked with the jump rope community
Mm,
here in the greater Manila area,
mm,
and specifically in Cebu when Ellen Adarna picked up our flow ropes, and it
mm,
just grew. I mean, it
mm.
was like steroids for
Yeah.
marketing.
Yep.
Yeah, and yeah, so it at least in the Philippines, row flow and a jump rope will be tethered to the umbilical
Yeah.
cord
Yeah.
to its death.
I
And
couldn't agree more. Yeah, definitely.
yes, and I think that's a good thing.
Mm,
Especially if you distill the essence of why we're doing it, which is just making people move.
right.
correct.
Um, One way we kind of marketed rope flow to the jump rope community, and how we piggyback it through activities and events in the malls is we use it as an alternative movement for
Mm,
people who can't jump,
correct.
arthritic knees, injured ankles. And
Mm,
even earlier when we met with the superstars of the jump rope community in Manila, I mean, we were talking. I'm a physical therapist, so I'm kind of
mm,
like my radar is up there when in terms of talking about injuries. And they said, well, yeah, my knees hurt, my ankle hurt, I broke my toe.
mm.
And then so there's a lot of injuries, and what's
Yeah.
great about rope flow, it kind of reverses a lot of them. with shoulders and neck and upper back. So that's another leverage point that you can
Yeah.
highlight.
Mm-mm.
Just it's really more of a recovery,
Mm.
rejuvenating activity versus bam, jump
Yeah.
rope, giggle,
Yeah.
triple under, quadruple under,
Yes.
quintuple under.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I totally understand. Yeah, and I completely relate to that on a personal level. The reason why my jump rope style is what it is because I had to adapt to it. My body could not take that constant pounding of doing doubles, triples. Foremost, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I don't have 12-year-old niece anymore. I can't compete with the people on Instagram who are banging multiples after multiples,
That is
uh,
true.
and they have the
You
strong
might want to
bones.
change your logo then.
Just a quick, just
I'm
a quick.
joking.
What got you to get your logo the way it is? Like, why did you choose that as your logo?
Mm,
Yes.
I just felt that it encapsulated what Happy Fingers Jumps was all about. It directly connoted active movement, jumping.
Yeah.
It was
Very
directly
athletic.
connected. Yeah, so it's just it was because it was taken in a leap forward motion. So may ano yun, may may hugot na
The symbolism.
uh
Yeah.
yeah, may ganung keme siya. But
Uh,
I um, I like the color purple. That's why predominantly it's my preferred hue throughout my feeds, my assets. Um, I just added a bit of a gradient finish to it to have a slightly modern touch to it. Yeah. But yeah, in terms of I just wanted to circle back to my previous point that uh, it's a it, I used to suffer from gout. Sometimes I would have gout flares that would cause my feet to swell, and because of that, jumping is just done. Well, you literally cannot jump.
you'll have
It,
periods where it's hard to walk.
yeah, yeah, stand, let alone walk. It's
Standing,
it's
yeah.
very 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 difficult. So the tricky part, actually, not a lot of people know this, but when Happy Fingers jumps, uh, I'd say spike on Instagram, which was around April or May, I was suffering from gout. I couldn't create jump rope related
Partida
content.
pare. Ano ba?
Yeah. So
Ginagawa pa siya niyan, Ray. Ano ba?
I had very limited punching power. So if one would pay attention to the kind of content that I was putting out,
Hey, don't do that
so
with a joke.
Oh, yes, yes. Bad, bad, bad. Only
so
for the living.
so yun, that's why I had to adapt my style into something that's less intense on the feet, but still allows me to enjoy the process of movement. And in the bigger scheme of things, as I continue to work and engage with people who are progressing in their journey, it almost seems like uh, an expected progression. You start picking up the jump rope, you get really intense with it, you get inspired by people who are very gigil, nagiging gigil ka din, and then you encounter your first few injuries because your body you didn't get to rack up your body's preparation. You didn't get to your bones didn't get to develop as fast enough to take that pounding. People need to remember that a lot of the professional jump rope people took decades to build that
Yeah.
agility, that strength,
Sure.
and sometimes sa sagigil mo, your feet take the blunt of that force. So, mapapansin na ang napapansin ko is yung the people who tend to do multiple unders, it's likely for them to get injured, and then they adapt rope flow as a means of recovering and making sense of the rope, moving with it, and then they become a little bit more of well-rounded people where they pick a little bit of what works for them,
Mhm.
and then take it forward accordingly. Yeah.
That's
Oh,
beautiful.
that's very smart. That's very functional. And I always felt that rope flow is a complementary activity
Mm,
to
mm,
not just jump roping, but or skipping, but for any activity. I always wanted, at least in my head, I want to position jump rope. So we're just, you know, assistance, we're just below, but a big chunk of activities that humans can do, whether it's
mm.
running, triathlon, basketball. I mean, and that's kind of like my vision, just
No,
be
and
there to help.
I think that's the beauty of it. You know, in its simplicity lies the versatility of rope flow.
Yes, yes, good
You've
point.
I've seen the the multitude of content of Rope Flow Philippines where you do rope flow for rowing, rope flow for basketball, rope flow for this and that. It's so adaptable, it's so fluid, right? That it it becomes almost integral to any discipline you could think of.
Mhm.
And the more that I think of, jump rope and rope flow integration, the more that I feel that there's really no ceiling to what you can do with rope flow. I think we're barely scratching the surface, honestly.
Oh, totally.
It's great that we have opportunities to innovate, to explore, to borrow from other disciplines.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, from whether it's rope dart or or poi or jump rope
Mhm.
or whatever. It uh, Because of how versatile the tool is and the discipline is, it makes it the boundless possibilities even become more boundless. That statement didn't make any sense, but
No,
yeah.
It made
it's okay.
sense.
You're
But
flowing.
yeah,
You're flowing
yeah.
right now.
Flow, flow
Thought
doesn't need to
flows.
make sense. So
Yes.
we have a question from Instagram. It's from iJeric. He goes, "Can you consider jump rope as a leg workout? I'm not sure if it would help people with chicken legs like me." So relating that a bit to what you were talking about a while ago about you and your gout, would you say that when you started jump roping or over time your gout lessened in some way and then your legs became stronger, to be able to help you with the gout that you were experiencing? And did it make your legs like, more muscular or in some way?
Hmm. Okay, let me separate the gout from the leg strength. Because gout is triggered by high uric acid, and that's your either your diet or it runs in the family. Um, uh, but the leg strength definitely was built over time with jump rope. I'd say that my calves are a lot more defined because of how I jump. I over the my first 2 years of jumping rope, I only did the basics and multiples. If you do that, your calves will definitely be defined. They won't be huge. It's a common question from beginners, especially ladies who are particular about the size and form of their calves. To which I would say, yes, they can be defined, but it is highly unlikely for them to balloon or to get really jacked. It's just not physically possible unless you're I think an ectomorph or you're the kind of person who gets who it's easy for you to bulk up. But
For
even so, I don't think it's possible for your calves to balloon to an incredibly big size just by jumping rope alone.
Yeah.
However, the strength can definitely be built. The endurance of your feet,
Yes, for sure.
the arc muscles of the muscles and the arc of your feet definitely will be strengthened. Your calves, your shins will definitely be strengthened over time as you continue to jump rope.
this is
Yeah.
this is something that I talk to Arman about a lot. When it comes to like footwork, especially with rope flow, that something that I've noticed with, and this observation came actually because of skaters. Like when I watched people who were skateboarding, So I have a couple of friends who are really good at skateboarding, and I watch them, and more often than not, I find that they're always on their toes. Like their heels are usually lifted.
Mm.
I checked out, of course, like naturally going trying to get into jump rope as well and watching other people jump rope. You guys are more
Mm.
often than not bouncing on the balls of your toes.
Yes, that's correct.
There is very little landing on the heels,
Mm.
because I also think that that's pretty dangerous to land on the
Yeah.
heel. But then, so that and then there's also that bending in the knees. Like the knees aren't perpetually straight. Like they're not
Mm.
perpetually soft. There is that softness in the knees, and I think that also helps with, the relieving any form of injury.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, it's essentially activating the natural spring in your body, right? So if you once you get a more fundamental understanding of how biomechanics works, you would understand that your body is essentially a set of levers or levers, however we want to pronounce it. But you know if you understand how one part of your body activates another part, then it will be easier for you to move. And yeah, correct. In jump rope, landing at the balls of your feet is essential. We definitely do not want to land on our heels, and we always want to make sure that our knees are slightly bent. That way, it can help absorb the impact. Yeah, which makes jump rope at large actually a pretty low impact sport.
In its own sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
So
something
just
that
just
yeah. Sorry, Armin, go
oh,
ahead.
I just wanted to go back to the first question on the aesthetic um, advantage of jump roping um, with your legs and jump roping activity. Uh, if you're thinking about the calves, which is your
Mm.
gastroc soleus, it's
Mm.
actually made up of two muscles. The gastrocnemius, which is that big, round thing, and then underneath it is a triangular thing called the soleus. Yes, just like that. And what happens is the soleus is the main function is for muscle endurance, and then the gastrocnemius, the bigger, bulkier one, is for power. And then depending on the range of motion of how much you move your ankle, that's when you can determine how much activation the muscle needs to work. And with that, more range of motion, more muscle bulk. And with jump roping, it's basically just a very small pulsating movement, right? You're not jumping too high in a sense that you have to move your ankle too much. And
Correct.
with that said, you can, if your legs are big genetically, then more likely it'll get bigger. But if it's small genetically, it's gonna stay the same or be smaller depending on how much, lean muscle mass or fat-free mass you have. Yeah, then going to that the next question, I forgot. What was the next question?
The next question was if I think if jump rope makes legs stronger or something like that.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
I
yes.
think
Yeah.
stronger.
So if you increase the size of the muscle more often than not, you could increase the strength, and also the endurance. But definitely, you just have to put in the work. You can't jump or skip the rope like, I don't know, 2 minutes a day and think it's going to change. I think that's the major takeaway on things. Like, yes, you can jump the rope. No, you don't have to be afraid of getting it bigger if you're not putting in the work. So you have to put in the work.
That makes sense. Speaking of
Yeah.
putting in the work, Don, how is your process? Like, how does your process work out when you train or when you practice, whether it's jump rope or when with flow?
Sorry. Can you say that again? I might have lost the audio from those minutes. What's my
Okay.
process? Sorry, there, I can hear you.
What was your process with when you train? Like, do you because we asked this to Banana and to Yanni in our
Mm.
um,
Mm.
previous episode, and we asked them, yeah. So, what is your process? How do you go through your training or your practice regimen? Do you
Even
practice?
on our first podcast,
Yeah.
with Leo and Karen.
Yeah, that was also on the this is
Yeah.
I think we asked this mostly to every all of our guests. Yeah.
Mm.
How was your
So
process?
I would definitely devote my mornings, my early mornings to training, because that's when you have the most energy reserves. No one is bothering you. No one's texting you unless you have a crazy boss, which thankfully I do not have. But I devote my
Yes,
I
early
devote
mornings,
my
like really early mornings.
I devote my a solid 30 minutes for my hit workout, and I focus only on the basics, just your basic jumps, your run in place, just to get that cardio workout. After that, I spend 1.5 to 2 hours on trick building. So whether it's learning it's like learning a language. Right? You learn the letters of the alphabet, and then you string them into words, and then eventually sentences. So in my style, there are so many letters, so many words that I need to learn, and I can spend 30 minutes to an hour just learning a letter because of how, depending on the level of difficulty of the trick. And then once I learn it, I have to put it into context. How will this work in the context of a full 15 to 20-second movement? Because learning a trick on its own doesn't really make for a good flow, right? It has to flow naturally into a jump rope combo or a jump rope sequence. So I would once I've cracked it, 30 minutes. I've spent 30 minutes cracking the trick. I would work on it for the next hour. Playing with different ideas, whichever works, whatever doesn't. It's almost like it's like a modular exercise in my head. One trick, maybe to the next. Okay, this doesn't work. I apply another one, and then
Mm,
that's why it's different every time. So,
right.
on the average, on a 5 to 6 days a week, I would spend 2.5 to 3 hours to train. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Ooh.
I would have to wake up at 6:30, latest 7 o'clock. That way, I would have enough time to take a shower and do my dailies. But yeah, jump rope, moving now, rope flow. It really
Oh
takes up
no.
at least
It'll
a
take
third
up
of
the
my.
next afternoon now.
Yeah, but I mean, as you rightly pointed out in the beginning of our chat, for you to achieve a certain level of understanding, of knowledge, in a way that gives you the confidence and, of course, the skills to teach it to others, you really need to put in the effort. I can't say that, oh, this is how you do a rap if I don't know how to do it. Like, it's breathing. There should be no question when you execute the move. It should be something that you can do with confidence. If you can't, my personal rule is that if I can't do a trick 10 times in a row, I haven't unlocked it yet. So, the things that I post on the gram, I still document the mistakes because that's just part of the process. Somewhere along the line, it will be useful to look back and see, oh, it took you X amount of weeks to unlock just one trick. But
Wow.
yeah, ganun lang talaga eh. Sometimes the curve gets higher and higher, and on the flip side, once you start teaching, you also need to realize that what is easy for you can be a mountain of difficulty for another person. For people like I guess for people who uh, practice movement on a daily basis, like us, we sometimes get so far down the line, so far down the hole, that when we talk about our discipline, dali, diba? We have a mutual understanding, we have mutual context. But for someone who is just getting started, and we try to get them in, and we show them a few moves, and we feel that, oh, it's so easy to do this and all that, we tend to forget the weeks or months that we've spent learning that kind of flow, and then sharing that joy, sharing that eagerness to that person
Yeah.
without that context of weeks or months of work. So it's always important for me, as I now am in the discipline of sharing what I know, to remind people that you may not get this immediately. In fact, you even put it in your card, which is something that which makes it even more rewarding that our messages are the same. You will get whacked. You won't get it immediately, and that's fine. You need to come with that acceptance that I may not get it now, but maybe tomorrow, the next week, the next month, as long as I stay consistent and I give it time, then the trick or the sequence or the flow is its own reward.
Truth.
Yes.
Truth. This is
Yes, I
something that
agree.
this is something that we've talked about also personally, like when we were exchanging messages. And this is again breaking down your whole ending sequence after every video. So we talked about your name at Happy Fingers Jumps. We talked about your logo. Now I just want to ask you about your tagline. Um,
Okay, sure.
your basics and like what we talked about. It's the probably the part or the part of your tagline that I really feel is the most important there is the your
Correct.
master your basics.
Yes,
So
yes.
could you share us a bit more of why is it master your basics than master the
Mm.
basics?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Ray. The your is the I guess the US the unique what's this differentiator of what Happy Fingers Jumps is all about.
Yeah.
I think the basics, everyone comes from a different context, and everyone's journey is different. So I what may be basic for me may be advanced for someone, or something that's uh, trivial for another person.
Right.
But like I said earlier, my journey is very oh, my journey is particular to my own psychology and to my own preferences as a student of movement. So my basics are my own. And for me to be able to progress in my journey, I need to master what I feel are the basics. Whether it's a single bounce, or an advanced wrap, or an intricate five sequence combo, or a five move combo. If
What?
that is my definition of a basic, then I need to be the master of that.
Yeah,
For me
mine's
to
a
be,
six move
yeah,
combo.
yeah. So yun, ganun lang yung philosophy
Galing,
dun.
galing.
It's all about what is basic to you. And it's it's endless, but as you continue to pursue self-improvement, and you recognize that an understand an understanding of the basics paves the way for you to become better, then you've already cracked what master your basics is all about.
Mhm. Well,
Mm,
there's one thing that I've been noticing about Don, and I really appreciate this. And we've shared like a quick conversation on Instagram about this, on how smart his programming is, and big emphasis on smart. For a lot of exercise practices, be it weightlifting, calisthenics, it's really a hard endeavor to do, physically hard. There's an
Mm.
emotionally hard component to it, which is the grit component, the willingness to do. But what sets
Mm.
apart something like raw flow is there's a cognitive difficulty and a real uh, big hierarchy in terms of how you organize your thoughts, how you sequence events, and how you
Mm.
coordinate the implement with your body. And that's something that is often noticed but not really explored in terms of raw flow, is because of the high cognitive demand of the activity. It helps a lot with your emotional health. It really mentally takes you away from whatever problems you're facing and
Mm.
whatever life difficulties or challenges you're
Mm.
facing, because you're so focused on this one thing. And it's something that I think in the exercise community is lacking, the mental challenge of the activity. And it's something that you're already living and doing every day, wherein it's amazing how you actually think of your practice in terms of movement sequences and coordination patterns and compositions of movement versus
Mm.
just doing one or two movement repeatedly, beating a clock or lifting a lot of weights, which is still a very good way to work out, and it does have
Mm.
some mental benefits, but it's a blind spot in movement training that, at
Mm.
least for me personally, I really want to focus on. It's like
Mm.
you're just damn smarter doing it. I don't care who you are. If you get like a five combo pattern on jump rope or rope flow and you do it perfectly, you're a smart person to me. you know, and it's something that's why Don is such a great guy, because he's just a freaking smart guy. He's
Too
so
smart.
smart. Yeah, amazing. Three claps. One, two, three.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think programming and organizing. I mean, it's always good to um, do things spontaneously, but for you to be spontaneous, you need to have a solid understanding of the basics of what you need to prepare for. Variable change will always be there, and it's something you should always account for. But for you to have that flexibility, you need to prep. You need to have these building blocks.
Yes.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have anything to draw from. That's why basics are
Mm.
so important. I mean, that's just how I've seen it. So whenever I whenever I think of a flow, or whenever I construct a sequence that I want to flow naturally uh, on whatever platform, I think of the constant variables. So
Mm. Mm.
first is the time. First is the platform. Where is this medium or this flow going out? Is it on Facebook? Is it on Instagram? If it's on Instagram, is it going to be longer than a minute? Shorter? Is it going to be 15 seconds, 30 seconds? Then how much time will I be putting into this flow? If it's going to be 15 seconds, do I want to focus on density, meaning as many moves as possible within that story, or do I want it to flow a little bit better, or flow a little easier? Therefore, my flow or my sequence will span across 2 to 3 stories. I try to break down my flows into either the shortest one would be a 15-second flow. The medium length would be 4 stories, which is essentially a minute. That's my usual wiggle room.
So detail
Because
oriented. Love it.
yeah, para lang
Like,
organized
I
flow.
mean,
I mean, and this is something that can help our beloved viewers. So whenever
yes.
you record yourselves, think of how it's going to go out. Not it's not so much of nagpapasikat ka or what, but you also want to tell a story. What is the visual? What is the flow story that you're trying to tell? What is the statement that you want to put out there? Is it fast swings? Is it an intricate sequence of raps, or is it just you going with the flow? Lahat yan may storya. So you just need to know what you're putting out there, and once you define that, then cutting it down to 15 seconds, 1 minute, an IGTV length. That's all secondary. But importante lang talaga na your prep work is there.
Right.
That way, it's less of uh, it's less of a random or random state or random less of a random motion series of motions and more of a personal statement. Yun.
Yes.
I agree with you.
Yes.
This is like giving me personally some tips on when I do my next post. So now I'm thinking like, what am I gonna do for tomorrow? Hmm. I'm like, wow, this is so educational. No, really, this is highly educational. This is what we want to do for just flow, bro. You know,
Mm.
what you call this? Speaking of educational, just to segue a bit, because during the episode with Andrew and Yanni, we had a question of what does EB mean?
Right. Okay.
Yeah, what does
Oh,
EB?
sorry. Okay.
We're asking
Wait.
you.
In
Is that an acronym of a person?
okay, there are two. I mean, yes. In jump rope, the typical practice is to name the move after the person who cracked it first. So um, I think that the TS was named after someone. The Sunny D was named after someone named Davis or something like that. But the EB, yes, it may also be named after someone else. But for me, from what I understand, EB is entry through the back. So enter back. So it's a front back cross, right?
Right.
So you enter through the back. EB makes sense.
Ah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's like so much more simplified now. Like I'm just
Yeah, because kasi
yeah.
meron din kasi mga tricks na it's there are also certain tricks that are abbreviations. For example, the ever coveted TJ, which is when you're in the mid-air na ganyan. It's essentially a toad jump. That's what a TJ stands for, toad jump. Yeah. So yun. So ED is it can be named after someone who cracked it, but it may also mean entry from the back. You enter the rope or the loop from the back.
Yeah.
Did you
And
ever wonder why the dragon roll was called the dragon roll?
He knows.
That one.
Come on. You don't.
Okay. Oh come on, dude.
Oh.
Kasi, because I tried to make sense of how David Weck would name the tricks. And I think it was the 2016 series of the RMT method where he did the, I think, race and chase, Matador's wheel, and then the dragon roll, and then the sneak. But there's no correlation between sneak, Matador, dragon roll, and race and chase. So I just felt, okay, maybe the dragon roll just felt like a good. It had a good ring to it, or he was probably at a sushi restaurant that day and just.
There is a sushi roll.
Yeah.
There is a sushi roll.
So there is a sushi roll. But like fun. Okay, I don't know if how true this is for David Weck, and I cannot speak for him. But it kind of just made sense to me that the dragon roll was basically a sped up version of drag and roll.
Dragon roll. Oh, okay.
It's like drag and roll, 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 drag and roll.
Pwede,
Right?
pwede.
Because this movement where the handle is a ball bearing, this is the rolling movement. And the drag is when the apex of the rope drags across your body and then you roll it, flip over or from the back to the front, depending on your orientation. So that's where the dragon roll came from. And
Right.
and speaking of that, and it's something about what we're doing with workflow, where we're trying to create a language, like how you program your patterns or your sequences is just really getting these amazing tricks that are people are creating either spontaneously or in purpose. And like part I feel like part of my job as a big one of the biggest fans of Roflo is just looking at everyone, picking out these nuggets of amazingness and putting names on them. you know? And it's something to at least catalog my attempt to catalog these names, so maybe someday we'll have like a rope flow competition and then Ray could be the color commentator. We
Yeah.
have we have names for these. The knee lock release pop of Dawn was done amazing on his offside. Things like that. That's something I want to hear in
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
near
correct.
future, right? The dragon roll,
Finger wrap.
right, 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 or the hot potato by Banana. Shit like that.
Yeah.
And
And it's
it's
just so fun.
and it's so nice because like even if you think about like the sneak, I'm gonna stand up for this. Like I kind of just thought about it. Like the sneak, it's like when you're doing the sneak, right? And then it's like so you sneak one hand behind you when you're doing the sneak. So it's like, oh, it's a sneak. But then realizing that it could actually be called a matador sneak because it's a matador's wheel with one hand behind. So
Right.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So it's like all of this naming. And I don't know how we got into this whole naming thing
Yeah,
suddenly.
I mean, I think it's essential.
Yeah,
yeah,
but I'll just sense first. Because I know that you're also like still trying to figure out the names of your moves, the ones that you showed in
Yes.
your birthday, the
yeah,
whole.
So yeah, so
yeah.
so a big part that and I'm pushing this responsibility to you, Don. Do not dare post anything without naming it.
Okay.
Do not just go,
Okay.
I don't know what it's called. No. Freaking name it. I don't care.
Yeah, yeah. That would be a
If
that
you
would be
have
a
a
great.
problem naming it, just call me up. Hey Armando, message me. What should I name this?
Yeah.
Right?
I have a few more moves that I don't have names for, but I'll
Yeah.
give it a bit more thought before putting it out there. Yeah.
There's
Oh
no
my god,
way. There's no
all
way.
of these names, all of these naming thingies. No, but it's great because then it helps us. It's like an anchor. It's like an anchor to us. Like I like within my own personal process of when I'm creating a flow or when I just want to flow, I always say it in my head like racing chase, matters real, cosmic roll, that dawn thing does that that dawn
Yes.
thingy, happy finger thingy. Yeah, so so it really helps because it's just an automatic thing where poof, okay, that one. Like like you already know what to do, so it helps also with the self talk. Um, yeah, here, like for example, naming a move makes you easier to remember. It better, don't you think?
Oh,
Yep.
highly agree.
Makes
Highly
sense.
agree. And then it's amazing how how when people say it doesn't exist until you say it. Like these affirmations, like for your psychological health,
I'm
or doing goals where you have to write it. If you're flowing and it's not in this solidified existence, it's really not existing yet. Like in the medical field, like when we do our documentation, if it's not written, it doesn't exist. You can't
Right.
bill for insurance. As simple as that. And like for example, with Ray, having Ray in the team is amazing in terms of just the nomenclature, because he's pulling out a lot of things from poi and the flow arts that make sense, like body tracers and anchoring and using the planes, the wall plane and the wheel plane. Those are flow art stuff, poi stuff, and we could definitely use in row flow naming. And with the jump
Mhm.
rope, with you there, with the toad, the caboose,
like
the freaking, yeah, all your other, like around the world. I know. I mean, those are just amazing. Like, a makes my job easier. Oh, there's already a name for it. you know?
we have a suggestion from a viewer saying, why don't we name Don's flow? I thought that move. Yeah, Don's flow day one. I thought it.
That is
What?
ingenious.
So it's like that
Your
thing
day one.
day one. It's like when you think that hook day one.
The forearm wrap, the step over forearm wrap, hook
The
on the
day one.
opposite knee, and then you flick it with your
The day.
elbow.
The day one.
Yes,
Okay.
that's the
The
day
day one.
one.
I'm gonna do the
Okay.
day
The
one.
day one.
Day one. And you still have that ankle thing, which wraps around the ankle and do the side kick. You can do like day
Uh,
1.5, something like that.
okay.
2.0.
Yeah, 2.0. I mean, just make our job easier and just name our shit.
I'll figure something out. Yeah. Sige.
Now, speaking of somebody who names things, Karen has this like move called the hamonado roll, or has this
Oh, yes.
Hamonado. Wow.
hamonado, like
Hamonado.
hamonado, like
It's
the
for the
food.
seasons.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's just really trippy because, and this is probably, I don't know, I don't have a rope with me. I'll use my earphones, so you can flow with anything. Just to prove that point. Let's see how this works. This is so weird. I don't know why I'm even doing this. So the hamonado, I don't know if you guys can see it. God. Come on, earphones work with me.
Yes.
Okay,
And
so the
happy
hamon
fingers, whatever. Look at this.
so the hamon so the hamonado roll is like basically going from an if you can see it. So you bring the rope under, you toss it from under, and then you're gonna toss it from under your from
The
it's behind
ground.
you. You step back from it, you toss it with the momentum, and so this is gonna fly, and it's gonna
Right.
rest. It's gonna rest here. You release it, and then you catch it again.
Uh-oh.
So I'm
You do
like,
like a wrist hook release, and then you catch the handle with the opposite hand.
oh no, we're giving Don ideas. We're giving him ideas. This is
That's what we want. I
bad.
want him to go banana nuts crazy with his creativity. Being that he said there are no boundaries. It's that's what it is.
It is.
Just the sky is not the limit. It's like, Saturn, maybe Venus.
Or
Mm.
Let
Mars.
go.
Pluto na yan, dude.
Oh, all the way to Pluto.
So, I just want to trace back a bit to what we were talking about a while ago, especially with the not with the naming of the moves, but the moves itself. When you're trying to digest the move, and when you're studying the movement, and this is something that Banig shared with me during one of our conversations about how she bonds with her partner, because we like in Arman and I always joke around that, yeah, when you flow together, you stay together. The couples that flow together stay.
No.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, if you don't flow together, you're gonna break up. That's how we try to get couples to flow together, especially since
Mm.
show flow is mostly pre. Well, it's mostly dominated by women. So we try to get the guys to do it, and we do that by saying, "Ay nako, if you don't flow with your lady, you guys are gonna break up." Yung mga ganon, mga kulelats. So this is something that Banig and her husband do, and it's so beautiful, and I just want to share it with you guys.
Mm.
Um, it also builds your relationship with your partner, especially when you're both breaking down a sequence together and you're doing your best to be patient towards each other while trying to your best to
Exit.
execute the wild sequence.
Right, right.
You know,
Yeah. I,
and
I, I see Roflo as the new board game. It really is. It's something, it's a puzzle that people can do for themselves or share with other
Mm.
people. And it's just amazing. Kids would love to do Roflo. I think it'll be amazing for their
Yeah,
cognitive
I
development.
definitely agree. Yeah.
and
Hmm.
it's like and it's really great because I wanted to ask if you've had like feedback like that when it came to like what to say with the jump rope community, like especially in
Mhm.
Malaysia. If you've ever had someone say, "Hey man, that was a tricky move. So now like my partner or my friend is trying to help me learn it, and then now he
Mm.
got into it. So now we're both
Mm.
jump roping together."
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
How much
I've
how
had
much has jump rope built relationships for you?
uh built relationships. No, I have yet to hear someone who found a girlfriend or boyfriend through jump rope, but I've had quite a number of people who have told me that after learning from what I've been putting out and doing the duets that I used to do some months back, it really added a bit of a spice to their relationships. They've found their workouts a lot more fun, enjoyable, because it's something that is simple enough for them to do, given that they're beginners at jump rope, but also challenging enough for them to break into a sweat or get a good workout in order. Yeah.
Oh, so lovely. I love how it builds relationships. I love how it builds communities. The
Yeah.
rope in general. And this is like, just tracing back, like this is why for me integrating the two communities, at least, within this context, the jump rope community and the rope flow community is so important. Something that we've noticed a while ago when we were in UP was how most of those who jump rope are within the younger generation, and those who rope flow are usually within the older generation. So it's like,
Hmm.
how can we bring that together? How can we, like make a marriage out of jump rope and
Mm.
rope flow. Because it's essentially you're using the same tool, the same implement, a
Yeah,
rope. Speaking of, have you ever tried like doing like jumping with the liwanag,
One.
the habagat?
yeah, yeah. I've tried. Uh, Masaya siyang gawin. Masakit siya pag tumama sa paa, pero okay naman.
Oh,
Masaya siya. Yeah, it's like
sounds
a
good.
weighted, it's like a heavy jump rope. Yeah.
It's a heavy. Oh, are there differences when it comes to, like, for example, you're doing a mic release with a jump rope and a flow rope?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Because the flow rope is heavier, you understand it's easy. There's more feedback, so you know where it's going. So the type of the releases that I do are a lot easier to do and to catch the rope with a flow rope. Sometimes when you use a jump rope, whether it's because with jump rope you have different lengths of handles. Uh, there are short handled ropes, there are long handled ropes. So whenever I do releases that are fast, I have to take weeks to build the muscle memory to catch it at the right moment because your window to catch the handle in the release sequence is very small versus with, for example, the Liwana group on my first video. It was it was a lot easier for me to do what I felt were rapid sequences or rapid releases because the rope traveled or moved slower. So the window of catching it was a lot bigger for me. So
Hmm.
I had a smaller window of error, I suppose. Yeah.
Hmm.
With the flow rope?
Yeah, it does help. The mass helps with the velocity, and then it complements. It doesn't require a lot of reaction time
Hmm.
versus a jump rope where it's lighter, it moves faster. And I think it looks better in terms of how you capture it on camera, because it's big. You can see the rope moving. You can see the
Hmm. It's not just a blur that flies in the
yes,
air. Minsan
yes,
sa jump rope, we get really overwhelmed with the speed that we often fail to appreciate how the rope travels or moves in a certain, you know, an uninterrupted flow, which is a
uh,
great thing to see in the rope flow discipline. Yeah, and
yeah.
yeah, just like I mentioned earlier, um, it's there. It's easy to assume that rope flow is just it's just a sub discipline of jump rope. But the more you personally get into it, you would realize that there are things that you can do in different dimensions with rope flow that you can't exactly do with jump rope. For example, um, what's what do you call this again?
Race and chase?
The race and chase, for example. I just call it a side swing. Kasi. So the race and chase, right? In jump rope, there is no way for you to do it slowly. There is a minimum speed because the rope is light. But with
Right.
rope flow, you can do it slow. You can cruise to a slow beat music, or you can go fast, depending, of course, on your mastery of the skill. And as you do that, you go through the motions of slow, fast, slow, fast, slow, fast, slow, fast. It makes it a lot easier for you to enter the flow state, which is something that in jump rope, as you can, it
Oh,
takes
oh, oh.
to me, I greatly enjoy getting into the flow state, but in jump rope, it takes me a little longer and just constantly repeating one trick for me to get into flow state. With rope flow, you go through the motions, you go through the dynamics, the changes in dynamics, which for me is a great enabler into getting into flow state. It's faster for me to get into a state of zen because each one move flows into the next. You can easily connect things. There are less complications. The window for the temptation for you to do intricate things is um, is superseded by its simplicity. because it's such a simple thing, you tend to spend more time just getting into the rhythm, into the flow of things, and not overcomplicate it too much. It's,
Right.
the advanced moves or the wraps or the tricks or the releases are great in small doses, which is why, to me, and this is veering into flow construction territory already, but to me, rope flow, and I admit I'm still very new to it. It should be more about the flow of things, the flow of the consistency of doing simple things and embellishing it with 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 your personal stamp, whether it's an advanced rap or a sequence or whatever, just in small doses to make it your own.
Right.
Because
I can hear from you your musicality influence on how you construct your program and your patterns, because like in music I play guitar too. You can play
mm,
a simple chord, but we could tap or
correct, correct.
do a vibrato on things. So it's the
Mm,
same thing when you compose a pattern and you embellish it with like the simplest little difference. It just makes for a lot of visual interest that people
yeah,
get like, whoa, what's that? Like
yeah.
nagugulat sila. Yung maliit na yun, may ginawa siyang maliit na yun eh. Ang ganda, ang galing. Even though it's the same pattern, that we've seen hundreds of times.
Yeah.
And that gives personality, that puts it into the art category, which
Mm,
just makes it so much more fun.
Gigi.
yeah.
Ugh. Especially when you said flow state. Yan, trigger word ni Ray yan.
No,
Sure.
no, no. It's
Yan,
super.
yan. Yeah,
It's
like a
super.
dopamine junkie.
No, it super is, and you know what? It's so awesome how you portrayed it, Don. Like how you described, getting into that flow state because yun na nga, you were saying it na parang all of these complexities and it and of course the dosing of it, and then having to build a flow is a lot of decision making processes,
Mm,
and to be able to efficiently get into that, of course, flow building, you essentially have to get into that flow state, right?
mm,
And so I listen a lot to the podcast called Flow Research Collective, and I got Arman to listen in as well. So it's this podcast, and radio and research by these guys in the states, and it's headed by Stephen Kotler. I'll send you a link so you can
mm.
so I can so
Like,
yeah, for your own
teka.
research as well. Huh?
No, no,
What?
keep going. Keep
Yeah.
going, keep
No,
going.
and there was this one short on Instagram that he talked about, like what being in a flow state is, or what flow is really about. It was basically a difference between meditation and flow, because a lot of people like to think that meditation and flow are synonymous or kind of like the same thing, which yeah, in essence they are. But the core difference of meditation and flow is that in meditation you're trying to relieve the idea of self, the idea of ego.
Mm,
And in flow, it kind of has a mimic of it, na parang your ego dissolves and you're just within the moment. So it kind of feels like
mm,
you are in a meditative state. But also for flow state to be flow state, there is an essence of decision making. Like it's kind of like an efficient way of decision making. And you said it wonderfully. It's being able to flow the rhythm, or to feel the flow of things, to feel the rhythm
mm,
of things as it's happening, so that when
mm.
you're able to make decisions, it's actually within that moment itself. And
Correct.
because also in some way or another, it's creating this pak 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 area
Correct.
for you to be able to, okay, now I know what to do from here on in, but still be open to the possibility of change. So it's
Mm,
open style of decision making, but also in an efficient way. So
mm.
yeah, wala lang.
No,
So
no,
It's
no,
like thinking without thinking.
thinking
yeah.
without,
Almost like
it's like thinking with feeling, or feeling as you're thinking. Parang ganon
yes.
eh.
Because emotions do breed decisions.
Correct.
And once you get into a solid basics, your skill goes down to your brainstem where it becomes instinct. All right. And then instinct to cognitive decision making now becomes an art. becomes a creative process.
Mm.
And yeah, and okay, we're going to this rabbit hole now. So pero yeah, it's just fun. It's just for me, I ground it into the idea of fun.
Mm.
And I'm always, me personally, I'm always in this state of discovery for
Mm.
self-preservation, because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like boredom is death. So if I get bored, I'm close to death. So Raw Flow has saved my life because it never bores me. It just
Mm.
never does. And it's crazy. It's a crazy concept.
Yeah.
Heather
uh,
commented something really long, so it kind of covered Arman, but she's like, in addition to what Don said, ropes in general allows you to cross your brain's midline. When your right hand crosses to your left arm or leg,
yes.
brain's neurons crosses your midline, therefore strengthening both your right brain and left brain. Plus, when you get your target tricks, your brain releases
Oh,
dopamine, and of course, your endorphins are released when you are engaging in reward-producing activities, jump rope or rope flow. And going a bit deeper into what
sure.
Heather is saying, it's great because when we come into these flow states, and just to break down the science just a bit, apparently achieving the flow state is having a balance between your happy hormones and your stress hormones. So when one is too much and one is too less, it becomes too easy. So let's say your happy hormones are, you keep rewarding, it becomes too boring. You're like, oh, okay,
Mm.
yeah. But then when your stress is too high and your happy hormones are low, it becomes too challenging and you're just like, fuck this, I'm giving up. So it's like achieving the flow state is not like once you hit it you're there forever. It's like a
Mm.
constant balancing
Yeah.
of. So it's like you can't always focus too much on the hard tricks and puro, like
Yeah.
challenging
Yeah.
without inspiration, like what you mentioned, which is such um a very important piece of the puzzle, because you have to, I
Mm.
wouldn't say dumb it down, but you have to ease the challenge so that the rewards can go a bit higher.
Correct. Mm.
The dopamine, the serotonin, the anandamide, the endorphins are all spiking, and then your norepinephrine and your cortisol are slightly going down. And then when it gets a bit too, you add a bit of trick or a bit of challenge to something that you've been learning. So you put that cortisol and that norep a bit higher so that your
Mm.
endorphins go a bit lower, so that gives you a breach to poof. So it's
Yep.
like it's a seesaw. It's a beautiful seesaw,
Yeah.
you
Correct.
know. And
It's a
and then
balance game. Yeah.
it's a super balanced game, and I think this is something that happened with our. Oh my God, Arman, we gotta get Don into the Unbroken challenge. Like we gotta give him like or
He's
pass.
gonna create a new one. Like he's gonna create a new one, and it's just gonna be ridiculous. Yeah.
So
Okay.
so Don,
Yes,
just
the Unbroken Challenge kasi it was a series of weekly posts where it's called the Dare to Drill,
Mm.
and each of people like I've scouted who've done, whether in intention or without intention, created a pattern, and then at the end of a period, the challenge was to combine all those Dare to Drill posts into one seamless flow, right? And it was like it went up to like around a 12 pattern combo,
Mm.
wherein Mr. Leo Diggs and Karen won, and because they put in the work. I mean, it
yeah.
was like Karen admittedly she would take like almost 2 hours in her day just tying these already difficult patterns together.
Mm.
And then with you on board, I don't know, man. 10 patterns pala, sorry. Yeah, 10 patterns.
But and you see, like there was a the funny observation with the Unbroken challenge, which is also something that we can start doing again now. Apart from because you're here with us, Don, is the fact that when we did the Unbroken challenge, there were a lot of people who were still learning how to roll the ropes, and because they were still learning how to roll the ropes, they found all of these like challenges hyper daunting. Like, whoa, this is way beyond my skill set. So there was that like, oh, it's too challenging. Never mind. Fuck this. I'm gonna go back to practicing my basics. Which again, with the reinforcement, is actually really important. So now we can actually start doing that unbroken challenge again and adding
Mm.
some A1 movements into it. So dope.
Thanks a
You know,
lot.
it's like one thing when just just to talk about my personal experience with the unbroken challenge was my personal challenge for it was to how much can I lessen my buffers in the
Mm.
sense that it was my matador's wheel, like
Basic four.
basically the four fundamentals that I like to call, which are the sneaks, the race and chases, the dragon rolls, and the matador wheels.
Mm.
How much can I bring all of the all of the movements for the unbroken together without having to go into a buffer?
Yeah.
And it was hella fun. It was
Mm.
hella fun, especially on a very personal process. Because I remember having to video myself, right? And every time I would make a mistake, okay, go back to the start. Go back to the start, edit what you can edit, and then just play around with it. And it came to the point where I check my watch. I go to the court where I usually do my training or my practice at around like 7. I end up leaving at 12 noon just because I'm trying to get that pattern right. And it's so cool because within that state, accessing that state, time just dissolves. Like I'm like, oh my god,
Uh-oh.
wait, I have to do something. I have to do my chores. Oh shit, my mom's gonna kill me. Oh shit. But it's so awesome because like I don't feel tired. I don't feel tired. I don't feel like I wasted anything. And it just feels so fulfilling. Full. I feel full and I feel filled. Get it?
Mm. Yeah, yeah. Nice wordplay there.
That could be a T-shirt.
Fulfilled.
Flow, fulfilled,
Yeah,
Flow
flow
filled.
filled. Yeah,
fulfilled, fulfilled.
So Elsie
yes.
has a concern. Oh no, Ninong. No,
Diyan.
no, I don't think so. I think even more like for me personally, and I think also for Arman probably. I don't know, but like incorporating now the jumps because there's this misconception, and I think this is a misconception that I want to, or there's this belief circulating that you don't jump with
Mm. With
when
a
you
flow roll.
go. Yeah, I feel like you can. And I think it's another added dynamic that makes the it as an art, as an expression, and as a training or whatever
Mm.
intention it is, just gives a little gives some flavor into it. And I think
Yeah.
that's the beautiful part of it because like now I'm just envisioning how much we can marry again, like marrying the two practices together, and then suddenly
Mm.
somebody just creates a flow na pucha magdo-double under siya into a day one, and then suddenly a hamonado roll.
Yeah.
Tapos goes,
Yeah. I think yeah, as you said, there's so many opportunities for integration. I'm not going to rule out jumping over the rope just yet. I think while you don't want to overdo it, you don't want to overdo jumping over the rope. Maybe an immediate idea is to use it as a transition. So,
yeah.
as you mentioned, whether it's a single under or a multiple under leading into another statement move, then pwede siya. You can definitely look into that. In fact, the step throughs that I do are modifications. They can be they can be single jumps, but for them to be part of a consistent 1, 2, 3, 4 step flow, you modify it. Instead of doing a jump, you do a step through.
Mm.
Good.
Yeah, it just allows for more options, I believe.
Yeah,
One
correct.
Yeah.
of the things I love doing that I got from jump rope is when you kick the rope to change its orientation or the path,
Ah. Mm-mm.
right? And you kick it from the back, you kick it at the front, and it's something that is basically breaking the cardinal rule because in
Mm.
row flow you kind of have to follow this north, south, east, and westing, and where you circumnavigate and it changes the path from a underhand to an overhand. But
Mm.
what if I don't want to turn my body, but I still want to make into an underhand? What are you gonna
Mm.
do? You know, so So
Yeah.
that's where like I got the whole. And is there a term for that when you kick when
Uh,
you change
it generally falls under the subsegment of stalls, rope stalls.
stall?
So
Yes,
when you swing the rope back and you kick it, you do a bit of a sipang
like a
kabayo.
donkey
You
kick.
bring it forward. Yeah, the donkey kick. You bring it forward, then that's technically a stall from back
As a
to front.
stall.
Yeah, yeah. And then
Nice.
Oh,
when
We're
when
learning.
yeah
Yeah.
oh, that's so cool. So that's what's considered a stall and jump rope. Those
yeah.
donkey kicks.
So
Oh,
So you
Right.
stall it. You change the direction from back to front to back, left to right, right to left.
And then with
Yeah.
Poi has a whole series of movements of stalls, right?
pendulums.
Pendulums, which is a
Pendulums.
pendulum where you stall, and you could do that with the handle of the flow rope. You could do that with
Mm.
the apex of the flow rope. I mean, it's just dami, dami
Um,
magagawa,
Yeah,
guys. Guys,
there's
open your minds.
yeah.
there is this practice. There is this flow art practice with this toy with a flow toy called the puppy hammer. I've been
Puppy hammers.
I've been going so crazy about the puppy hammer because I've been wanting to learn it, but it's like just mind blowing. Like it requires a really long rope with weighted ends. Like I'm just imagining a flow rope, but then with heavier handles or like longer. It's just longer than the handles. And these guys in Puppy Hammer, they're spinning it on top and they're making it go around their body, and stuff like that, and then catching it and then doing all these things and doing poi moves with it and then letting it go and then it's a whole new level, new whole world. I'm
Sets
going
it
to
on
link it.
fire. Mm.
They set it on fire. They also have LEDs with it. It's really dope. Yeah, I'm gonna link you to some Don just so you
Sure.
can play around and like just be like, well, what the
Yeah.
hell is that? Because I don't know, like all of these I wouldn't even say sub practices of movement, but all of these like different schools,
Cousins.
cousins of movement, rope movement are just also integratable. That yeah, like going back to what we've all like the theme of this podcast has been is like the exponential possibilities of what we can do with a rope. With a rope. That's so crazy. And I
Yeah.
can't wait for the day. So just to put it out there, I can't wait for the day that somebody suddenly comes into the community and then Don's like, oh man, shucks.
I'm sure meron yan sooner than later. With how people have been using Instagram and social media at large in the preferred way, which is to 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 consume and share inspiration. The momentum just keeps building and building by the day, and the absorption of skill, the skill acquisition, so to speak, gets a lot quicker now. And if every now and then I would see kids of Pinoy kids of ages 12, 13, 10, 12, 13, who are even better than me in jump rope. And that's cool because
Amazing.
it shows that there is hope, there is immense possibility. I believe in the Filipinos' unique ability to make something out of the direst of circumstances. And in an increasingly uncertain world, you see a glimmer of hope in the young ones who are just doing so many phenomenal things with the jump rope. And it's interesting that you noted the demographic difference of rope jumpers and flow ropers. That rope flow tends to be on the older demographic. I don't know if it's because of barrier to entry or accessibility. That may be a thing, but who knows if there comes an opportunity for rope flow to become for flow ropes to be a lot more accessible, especially to younger audiences. The possibilities will definitely be endless. It's just a matter of enabling, lessening or eliminating the barrier to entry to the rope. And the beauty of flow rope is that it's essentially a product innovation.
It
It's
is.
it's a thick rope. There's nothing complicated about it. It's a rope, and you just added barrel knots on either side. Of course, the material is another conversation altogether. But yeah, it's such a simple thing that we've turned into something beautiful. And how what you want to, what you bring out of it, what you do with the thing is entirely your own keeping, right? But it's a ceilingless pursuit. It's a borderless pursuit of movement that can only get better over time.
Yeah. I mean, the product innovation with jump rope and flow ropes has increased since COVID.
Hmm.
A lot of suppliers are now out there putting amazing products for both the jump rope and flow ropes, and it's a beneficial on multiple facets:
Hmm.
revenue generation, mental health, physical exercise, and I can't agree with you more. It's just a blessing overall. And what I like to ask you, Don, is when are you creating your own product line? I know, because you got a marketing edge. I'm pretty sure. I want you to break it first at Flow Bro. All right. Where's the product line? Where's the merch? Where's the happy finger? I got you.
Next thing you know it, in the podcast, we're gonna be having like these little streamers going down here, going like, okay, this podcast is sponsored by.
Yo, happy fingers
Merchandise.
jump. All right. Master your basics.
Master your basics.
Yo, yo, Don.
That's a
LJ has a
t-shirt.
purple and white flow rope soon. Oh, yan.
Ayun.
Yan na yung pang merchandise.
Yes. Let's call it
Uh,
the Ube Flow Ropes.
ube, no.
Ube and
Ube
makapuno.
alaya.
Ube.
Ube
Ube
alaya.
makapuno.
Yes.
Kakanin
We can't predict the future. In such uncertain times, we can only take it one day at a time. I did I didn't plan on releasing my jump ropes until September of last year, which was like Q3 already, and the movement started in Q1. So these things, uh, they come. I know you put in the work, of course. You do the research, you evaluate risk reward, and you also need to come to terms with um, tawag dito, with accepting that yes, you do have a financial interest in the discipline, but is it primary or secondary to the movement or to the values that you want to espouse to your target audience? In my case, I was very clear early on that selling ropes was never the thing. It was, yes, it's a byproduct of it. If people want to get the same specs of what I use for my jump rope sequences, here you go. But you don't need that to do what I can do and more. It's a jump rope. There's no, or it's in our case, it's a flow rope. It's very simple. Get a rope and go. So
That's for sure.
yeah, it's a delightful thought, but I'll take it one day at a time and see how it leads. And should there be an opportunity, I will definitely let you know. But for now, I'm just wholeheartedly excited to explore the possibilities of learning more of the basics. Just a few days ago, I spent some time with LJ, who taught, who was very gracious in teaching me the basics, the terms, things that I was already doing, but I didn't know the mechanics of it. Things that eventually made sense because of that crash course. So I'm just at that stage of building, creating those Lego blocks in my mind. That way, my potential in rope flow can be better. It's great that I can integrate. It's great that I can think of ways that um, that can challenge you, that can challenge the community into doing other ways of flowing. But
And just
for me,
always ego.
it's what's not to me. It's more important to, yeah, like I've always said, to master my basics when it comes to flowing. Hopefully, in the days to come, I can come up with traditional flows that fall within the language of rope flow,
Yeah.
and adding a few more embellishments along the way.
Yo,
Yes.
Don, remember your dragon head? The dragon head. It's like do
Yeah.
tama wala, diba? So yeah, your dragon head. Try when you're doing your dragon head, right? It's one hand, it's both hands going at the same time. Try alternating it.
What?
Wait, that's kind of funny.
What?
If I'm using
Yeah.
my pocket rope, my pocket earphones. So that's the nerd about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So try alternating it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like that. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So
That makes
that's
sense.
in flow arts that's called a windmill.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That could be an inspiration for your tamaraw roll or
Yeah.
something.
Yan, yan.
Wow.
Tawag yan, sinampo ko lang yan. Sinampo ko lang yan. Sinampo ko lang.
Oh, lalo na kayong mga long hair. Yan, applicable yan.
Yeah.
Kaming mga medyo receding hairline, medyo kailangan pa ganun lang. Hindi pwedeng pataas, pababa lang kami.
Oh, by the way, Coach Banana is on. Speaking of Banana, I don't know if you guys saw his Instagram stories when he's offering his rope flow classes. That banana and then with that
Yeah,
wing.
yeah. I saw.
I haven't
I
seen
hope that
it.
I hope that it becomes his logo. Just because it's so funny. Anyway,
Did he, when he went live with you all, did he explain why banana?
banana pancakes.
Oh, banana pancakes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so
Yeah, I haven't had the fortune of meeting him personally, but it seems meron kami mga mutual friends. So I was just curious. Andro Amador banana. How? Okay. Okay.
the story, and Andrew, since you're listening, correct me if I'm wrong. I hope I still remember this. But the reason why Andrew's Instagram handle is banana is because his favorite song was "Banana Pancakes" by Jack
Jack
Johnson.
Johnson. Okay.
So
I
at
see, I
first,
see.
his Instagram handle was at Banana Pancakes, and then eventually it just became too long, so he just made it banana, and it just
Right.
became banana.
And
Super
then for like 6 months, I didn't really know his name. I just called him Banana.
and then it just caught on. Everybody just starts calling him Coach Banana.
Yes.
And so, speaking of banana, he says this suggestion for your rope flow account: Happy Feet.
Happy feet.
Ah. Pwede. May tama ka. Sabi ka.
Alright. Happy Feet flows. Kulit.
Happy
Happy
flows.
feet.
Pwede.
Watch that movie again.
Oh,
I like
and then
that
Doc
movie.
can dress up like a penguin or like in a penguin suit. And then
Oo nga.
he's holding the ropes like this.
T-Rex. Parang T-Rex. Rope
Oh my
flow
God.
na tayo.
So we know we're getting into this state of mind where everything's just getting kind of like muddled and sabab, but still makes sense when we're hitting the 2 hour mark. Because we've been in conversation for an hour and 50 minutes now. And I'm highly surprised that there are 12 people who are still in this conversation. They've
Thank you
got
for watching.
thank you everyone for
Thank
watching.
you. Thanks for
And
watching, for listening. Yeah.
yeah, wild. So let's cut it off at 2 hours so people still have 10 minutes and we still have 10 minutes to joke around and go crazy and make weird actions with our bodies. You know, actually, Don, if you have any questions for us or for any of the
Yes.
community, feel
Yeah,
free.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's make it a dialogue.
I suppose so. Yeah, 2021. What's in the forecast for Rope Flow Philippines?
Oh.
Oh, go ahead, Armando.
Well, well, as far as the ano, there's multiple uh goals for it, as far as strategy is concerned. But the core is community building. Um, Roflo in itself is at its infancy. I'm still in awe on how fast and how big it's gotten. Especially when we started, like, when Banana, the backstory is, when I started uh rolling the ropes last September, 2 years now, basically 2019. And then taught some few people because I felt so lonely. I was
Mhm.
sad. I was the only one doing it. And it's at that core where I just want more and more people to start doing it. And for 2021, it's just community building. And this is what I've shared to a lot of the budding rope flow communities. They're trying to build their following all over the planet, from Singapore, Hong Kong. It's like you just need two things. You just need to get them ropes, any rope, and to get them to post, and that your page should be the center of encouragement and affirmation on all levels, on whatever level they put out. So, and that still holds true till 2021. It's a formula that worked, and I don't see it. Do we need to change it? But as far as products and services are concerned, because there's more people flowing or rolling the ropes, there's more people that are potential coaches. Because another thing to build the community is for people to start sharing their knowledge, either small or big. I'm gonna probably start giving out honorary certificates. You want to teach, you've taught, they learn something. Congratulations. Oh,
And
yeah, so it's something that is in the works, and because we're still at our infancy, we're still on our building phase. Just get them going. My grand vision is whoever's jumping or skipping the ropes should own a flow rope too. That's the way I
vice
see it.
versa.
Yes. And like Don's 34,000 followers, I want 34,000 people to be flowing their ropes too, in a nutshell. And we're here to help. Just ask for help. We're
Hmm.
offering it. We're giving out free lessons, free one-on-one, free group, virtual, in person, you name
Hmm.
it. We're here. Whether you learn from us or not, learn from other people, we don't care. You're moving, you're flowing, you're rolling. I'm just all amazing.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
Based on what you see at the moment, which countries or communities are kind of leading the movement? So, of course, Roplo Philippines aside, would you say that Indonesia and Taiwan or Hong Kong would be close seconds?
As far as
Which market do you observe?
as far as our Southeast Asian neighbors are concerned, Indonesia is a growing community. Hong Kong has showed interest. Taiwan has some interest as well. Thailand should have more people rolling or flowing their ropes.
Mm.
Vietnam, I haven't seen anyone show interest. Um, yeah, so those are our Southeast Asian countries,
Yeah.
neighbors. I really want Malaysia, please get
Yeah,
them growing, get them
I'm getting
flowing.
in touch with the one lady who has been flowing.
So dope.
Maybe hopefully over the next few weekends we can do something together, and that can be
Yeah,
the start.
Yep, and it's one of those things where again positioning is a big a deal. We were successful in the Philippines to piggyback with the jump rope community. The animal flow community and the yoga has seems to gravitate towards rope flow as well. So we've
Mm.
tapped into that, and then of the late a lot of the people from the martial arts community, combat sport, it has a very big application for row flow,
Yep.
not
Mm.
only in terms of recovery, but also movement proficiency and dynamism.
Right.
Moving and maximizing or optimizing your kinetic chain from the ground up and vice versa. Row flow is just an amazing, amazing tool for that.
Mm.
And it's great because like getting more people to get into it and getting more teachers. This is something like not teachers but coaches or whatever educators. When it comes to movement, it's such a beautiful process because something that I always share to the people who ask me for advice when it comes to the rope flow is like how can I learn better. Mm, my biggest advice is just to teach it, and this is
Mm.
something that I've carried with me all throughout, which was if you want to master something, like you've learned whatever you needed to learn and you want to learn more, the one of the best ways to do it is to share it, to teach it to somebody else.
Yeah.
Because that's when you know that you're really testing your knowledge. And also within that respect, whenever I go into sessions, the different sessions with different people, I learn something new, even if it's just teaching the race and chase. There's something new that unlocks within me na parang, oh nga, no? This is a way of looking at it because this is a way of teaching it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just something like that, even if it's just the basics. Like, so I'm pretty excited, with that being said, like I'm pretty excited for how, you're going to program your own teaching method or your own coaching
Mm.
style for rope flow in Malaysia. So
Mm.
that's
Yes.
really interesting because we can learn a lot from each other and from everyone.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
so fun. That's gonna be
Yeah.
so. Everyone
Yeah,
is so
the,
nakikinig.
the practice the practice of rope and rope flow is definitely, and Rokas from Octomoves has leveraged this concept. Is It's really a non-threatening activity. It's a very, very high margin for error. It's hard to
Mm.
injure people doing rope flow. As a matter of fact, you do the opposite. You kind of regenerate people. So that in itself as a concept is very sellable.
Mm.
You can sell the shit out of that concept.
Yeah.
And you have a big market for that. You can
Mm.
cast a very huge net, and for sure you're gonna catch something, anything
Yeah.
really. So as far as its therapeutic benefits, athletic benefits, mental health benefits, artistic expression, it just covers everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
It does. It definitely does.
Hmm.
Mm.
Wow.
Shout
Good.
out kay Saint Jose Maria Escriva sa likod, by the way.
This guy keeps me in check. Like he's always like, I have to.
Brother Lasal yan, di ba? Si Lasal.
No, dude, that's like the
Opus
no,
Dei, Opus Dei, I think.
advanced Opus Dei, dude. So Southridge
Yeah.
Woodruff guy.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so Paref, he's a Paref dude.
So Don, have you always lived in Malaysia or
No, no, no.
no?
I moved to Malaysia from the Philippines in 2015.
Uh-huh.
The nature of my work required me to travel across the region over from 2015 until 2017. I moved back to the Philippines in 2018. I spent the better part of 2018 in Makati, and then in 2019 I moved back to Malaysia. So
I see.
yeah, yun. So
And
it's
it's
been
basically work
2 years.
based. It's a work
Yeah,
based.
work based. I do a bunch of things at the moment these days. You can't just do one thing. You really need to
Uh,
squeeze as many opportunities as you can if you need to survive,
but it's
especially now. Yeah.
basically through so what's the nature of your job if you don't mind me
Oh,
asking?
I'm in the advertising and content creation business. That's been my bread and butter for the past 9 years.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
See, like me getting into this Flow Philippines and this social media game. I'm 43 years old, medical. All right, so I have zero background knowledge. Like I didn't even know what social media was. As far as Instagram, for me, Instagram was like venue to improve your portfolio. It's like a
Mm,
modern day curriculum vitae. But
right.
then it turned into this, and it's
Mm,
crazy. It's
yeah.
crazy. Well, kudos, kudos. You had the background to make your content successful.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I mean,
Mhm.
it was a career that I didn't plan for, but
No way.
yeah. I graduated with a degree in com, but I wanted to my goal in life at
Communications.
yeah, a com degree, but I wanted to be a musician. That was my
Look at
goal in life,
that,
but
Ray. Didn't you want to be? I wanted to be a musician
I
too.
can get
yeah,
it
but
at some point.
I had to support my mother, so I had to reorient myself into a career that could possibly give me good returns. And
Mm-hmm.
thankfully, 9 years down the line, it has proved to be hindi na rin masama.
No man, no
Hindi na rin
man.
masama.
This is
But
something that yeah. Go
yeah,
ahead. Go ahead.
no, I do miss home. I do. It's quite it's a bittersweet feeling having grown Happy Fingers jumps to the end to what it is now, and not being home to actually uh, meet the people who have been inspired by what I've been doing, to actually talk to them, to jump with them, to flow with them. It's right now going home is almost unthinkable because for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But hopefully, when things turn green again, that's definitely one of the first things on my mind to just, spend time back home, meet all of you in person,
Oh
and
God.
yeah, flow, have a drink or 10 drinks if you all drink. I don't know if that's you
Ah,
do you do
two.
that sort of thing.
Dalawa lang ako. Dalawa lang ako, boy.
Ano din
Tequila.
ako, lightweight din ako lightweight.
Lightweight.
Tequila, gin. I
Mm.
mean,
Grabe. But it does, I mean, with your community and your followers and the people that are inspired by you, I'm pretty sure it does make it less of a burden to miss
Mm.
home
Yeah,
because you do have this man connection that I'm pretty much a lot of the people that are already living in the Philippines are not getting. you know,
yeah,
it's and it's a blessing. The social media technology and the
right.
jump rope just connects
yeah.
people.
That's
Yeah.
true. Something that I wanna ask Don. What do you have? You've experienced burnout.
I'm sorry, what? Sorry?
Burnout.
Burnout. Yeah, burnout in the movement, this in movement.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What?
yeah, many times, many times.
What's your
Uh,
advice?
I'm trying to recall. In 2019, most of that year I stopped. I didn't really jump rope.
No way.
I was trying because a lot of life things happened. I was focusing I was focusing on my job. I needed to bring my A game, that sort of thing. Eventually, I realized I was just putting mental excuse after mental excuse. Um, I feel that if you're hitting that wall, or if you're feeling that lack of motivation, it's okay to accept that nothing's coming out and just stop. Just stop. Trees don't bear fruit all year round. There will always be that dry season, and one needs to accept that that is part of the bigger process. Uh, kumbaga, I'm holding a pencil. Sa kakasulat mo, mapupurol ka rin eh. Mapupurol at mapupurol ka. Ang pencil, ang lapis nga napupurol, tao pa kaya. So,
Nice.
okay
Wah.
lang na,
T-shirt.
diba? Ganyan lang yan. Ganyan lang kasimple yan. So, kung ma-burnout ka, hindi ma-burnout ka. Kumanta ka ng kanta ka na sugar free. Oo, okay na siya. Dibdibin mo. Dibdibin mo yung burnout. but my point being, accept it as part of the process. Do not do anything. Rest. Take the time to to explore other disciplines. The rope or the movement will always be there for you to come back to, and it will, if you put in the work before you stop, it will be just like riding a bike, learning how to ride a bike again. Once you learn it, you will get right back into the grind. But don't force yourself if nothing is coming out. If you're hitting a wall, stop, take a moment, or take a week, or take as much time as you need, basically, to refresh, to reboot yourself, and kickstart a new chapter or a new journey, and then come back to it when you're ready.
It's never a closed door. It's never a closed window.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
O, ang lapis nga, napupurol eh. Tao pa.
Oo, po
Tao
siya
pa kaya.
I guess, yun ata yung matatandaan ko sa buong podcast na to.
Lapis ka, napupurol eh.
Pupurol eh. Tao pa. Yan.
Happy
Sa
finger
mga type A, mga type A, o ano, pagsabihan kayo ni Don. Yung mga obsessive compulsives. Yan.
Oh.
Kumall out.
Dibdibin yan.
Shots fired. Shade drone. Shots fired.
Grabe.
It's funny.
Wow.
Ganun lang yun.
This is great. Apo siya, si Andro, bumanat si Andro. Kontingente nga, nag-iwalay.
Oh, ano? Yan, oh.
Ay,
Tectonic plates ng buhay. Kabush.
Wow. Ay, no. Buhok nga, lalagas eh.
Naku, sinabi mo pa.
Ang rope nga, napuplo, tao pa kaya.
Oo nga.
Oh. Ang rope na mamanipulate, tao pa kaya. Oh.
Ala. Uy, alam mo yun? Oh my God, na-miss ko yun. I think mga July, August, there was a series of people messaging and it was so good kasi puro mga hugot lines talaga. Mga raw flow hugots. Dami nun. Oh, sayang, na-hack kasi kaya hindi ko na makuta.
Ilang followers kayo na? I think you were over 10K na, di ba?
We were 10,200.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Sayang.
Trust the magic of new beginnings.
It was good. There was a lot of good things that happened after it. That's when I met Ray. Yung naghihimotok ako nun.
Oh.
Tapos, one of our reps.
When he came into the court, he had like that. I'm a big guy, but I'm so sad inside. And then my first question to him, hey, how do you do the tandem sneaks? Tandem sneaks.
I would forward you my Instagram, but it got hacked.
That was the best. That was one of the that was so funny. Ay nako. Okay, guys.
That's it, man.
Oh my God. Okay, so this.
Thank you so much, Don, and the Don Show.
Thank you.
This is so great. We'll have another one. We're gonna probably have another one when you can't find another guest. Let's just our old guests and have like an episode 2.
Turuan mo nga kami doon paano gumawa ng duet. Pero ko nang gustong gawin, I just don't know how to do it technically.
Do it. You just use an app.
Ba yun?
Yeah. Photo Grid is your best friend. So that's available on iOS and Android. Photo Grid, you just pick yung two layout, yung two video na layout. Your one video is your video, and then another is another person. And then you just need to do incremental syncing, but that should be easy peasy.
Okay, see?
Okay, pwede na tayo
mag-duet. Photo Grid.
Mag-duet.
Nakapag-duet na tayo. Nung Tamaraw roll.
Tamaraw roll.
So I'm really looking forward to the Tamaraw roll.
Tama raw.
Nakakaloko yun eh. Parang tama
Oh,
raw.
may tama raw. Tapos may tama raw FX. May kasama
Oh.
may kasamang
Alam ko na. Alam ko na.
Lakas tama raw.
You gotta be slightly inebriated before you do your role para tama. May tama raw. Okay.
Oo, kaya lakas tama. Red
Lakas
Bull roll na
raw.
yan.
May tama raw flow roll.
Mhm.
Day one.
Red,
Day one.
Iwan.
day one. Red horse roll. Ay,
Red horse.
Wait. Pati rin yung slap.
Tarsier slap.
Cheers.
Oh.
Hindi, pinag-usapan namin ni LJ yun na parang, kasi di ba, may, ina-identify ko, ano yung mga, kasi di ba, may dragon roll, may whatever. Tapos, sa Pilipinas, ano ba yung mga pambansang hayop? May maraw, kalabaw, pilandok.
Oo.
Pero mga, sabi ko
Maya.
pilandok's tail, yung pag mag-cheetah's tail ka pero hindi umaabot. So, maiksi lang.
Pilandok.
Tapos yung tarsier slap.
Ano
Tarsier
yung
slap yung pag ano ka, mag-double release ka, tapos tumama sa mukha. Tarsier slap.
Oh my God.
Pakpak ng agila.
Oo.
Grabe.
Pakpak.
Gawa tayo yung mga common na hayop sa Pilipinas, like askal, yung mga askal's release. Yan, pag pinakawalan mo yung aso mo, tapos nangagat ng kapitbahay.
Yo, that one move though, Don. The one where after you did your day one, tapos ginanon mo. You put it underneath your legs and then you went like that.
Yeah.
Baka pwede yan yung pilandok something. Kasi parang
pwede. May dukot sa ilalim. Ay, wait.
may dukot sa ilalim.
Ayan,
Nagiging BNO na to. Podcast.
Well, I mean, we're technically on a primetime show now. I mean, we're a primetime show. We started at 9, so this is like
primetime.
Tulog na yung mga bata, okay lang yan.
Oo nga, tulog na. Tulog na ba mga bata? Oo, tulog na.
Tulog na yung mga yan. Kagantang Aspin. Grabe.
Kagspin.
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 Kagspin. Uy, meron yan. May lalabas yan.
Okay. Meron yan.
Shit. So much possibilities. See, we're already unlocking so many names for moves that haven't been made yet. So now we just have...
I-match mo na lang.
I-match mo. Gusto ko talaga yung may dukot sa ilalim eh. Ay! Fishball roll. Fishball. Or yung...
Quick.
Quick release.
Dukot sa ilalim.
Oh my God. Ano kaya ang itsura nun?
Quick release. Oh, may tusok. Tapos, pwede. Quick release.
Quick release.
Wait, yung nakita mo yung yung ginawa ko kanina, Ray, yung inikot ko behind between the legs, sinalo ko sa apex, tapos pinalipad ko yung handle.
Oo.
Baka pwede yun, quick release. Kasi parang dinukot mo yung
sa ilalim.
Ano ba?
So imagine, I'm gonna adjust this so you can see para makita niyo yung pagdukot. So what Arman did was, he had the rope, right? This is the handle. He brought it under, let go of the handle as the apex came here. Ang baboy ng itsura na ito.
The apex, Apex pa mo.
Lakihan mo yung apex mo naman. Ganun dapat, ganun. Apex.
Dukutin mo ang apex ko.
Tapos, hinagis yung apex. At hinagis. And then essentially, the handles fly out, right? So, gaganon yung handles. Tapos, I think the idea was to be able to throw the handles and then catch it. Yung ganon. Quick release!
Quick. Magagawa ko ba dito yan?
Ayun, ayan. May line.
Maliit ang space ko eh.
And, yung apex mo. we have somehow just generated sexual innuendos with rope. Oh my God. This is a whole new dimension to rope flow.
Yeah.
Sige, yan, naka-short shorts ka pa. Yan ang gusto.
Yeah. Ano?
So,
Sama.
ladies and gentlemen, we are completely sober. That is, oh my God, that's a highly sexual oh my God. Leave it to Arman to think of something like that. Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Yo. I bet Don in his mind is like thinking now, how do I make that happen? How can I catch it nga, no? That's been something that Arman's been trying to do for the longest time. Yo, Arman, your mic is mute.
Your mic is gone. Tayo, nakamute ka.
Yeah. There.
Yan.
All right.
Ginawisan si Arman sa pagdukot ng apex niya. Kutin mo ang apex ko in theaters 2021.
In theaters.
Yo, that's a new idea.
Roflo PH Production in cooperation with Happy Fingers Jumps.
Dukutin mo.
Ang apex ko. Sa Guamen.
Pwede pang duet yan. Pwede pang...
Pwedeng panduet. Hindi pwedeng yung catch the rope.
Catch the rope. Oh.
Yun yung pangsalo.
Pangsalo.
Quick, yung sasalo, yung tatalon. Quick roll.
Quick release. Okay yan. Guys, sasabaw tayo ng sasabaw as this is happening.
Oo. Sabaw levels na tayo ngayon.
I mean, there's still 8 people who are listening. If they want to get sabaw with us some more, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. That's Don's like, no.
Uy, may weak contrast pa ka tayo bukas.
Oh shit. Oh dead. Okay, yeah. All right. I think it's time.
Natin.
It's time to get some.
Okay.
It's time to call an episode 2 sometime within 2021.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So again,
sooner more than later.
Sooner or later yan. Pagdating ng day 3 ni Don, may podcast na naman tayo. Ano naman ginawa mo?
Day 3. May mga tipong nagpapanik kami, like, mag-uusap, magdi-day 3 na daw si Don. Oo nga eh. Ano ba yan? Nag-stretching na nga ako eh. Para makuha ko eh.
Gusto ko naman
naka-ready na yung screen record para ma-slow mo ko.
Sabi ko nga kayo, i-download nyo na lang yung IGTV, pwede naman.
Yun na nga eh. I have to figure that. Yeah, you told me about that nga. I'm gonna have to check that out. I really have.
What? Pwedeng i-download ang IGTV.
Yeah.
Yo, your Apex is showing, Arman.
Oh, my Apex.
Your testicles.
These are my puppets, Mga puppets ko yun,
Oh my god.
popsicles.
Oh my god, your apexes, your chesticles. Fuck. Okay, oh my god, yeah. You know what?
Oo, sige na.
Let's call it let's call this a night.
Okay.
We'll do an episode.
Don, thank you so much.
We'll
Thank
do
you
a
very much. This has been a gift. Thank you very much for having me. All the
Yes.
best. More to come. More to come.
More to
come.
come.
So to everybody who has been with us through these 2 hours and 20 minutes of God knows what happened in this podcast, but I'm sure it was very educational for everyone.
Mhm.
100% it was. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being present with us. And, continue to stay weird because this whole experience has been definitely weird. Weirdly educational, weirdly sexual, and also weirdly amazing. So again, like what we always say here, Namas Weird, made the weird in me honor and bow to the weird in you. Namas Weird. Thank you.
Mas weird. All
Namas
right. Good night, everyone.
Good
Thank you,
night.
Don.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
very much
Ray.
for having me.
Let's do this
Thank you,
again.
God. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Again,
Thank you.
Arman. So episode part 2 will be coming out after Dawn's day 5.
Well, when will this be out? Ipopost ba to sa YouTube?
Tomorrow. Wait.
Tomorrow?
No. Give me by Wednesday again. So this will be up by Wednesday, and yeah.